Let's do this. We're going to be playing on Neoplanet S. QXC says game art is really cool. Spawning in the bottom left position as our red Terran player coming in for complexity. He just took out the STC. It is QXC. And spawning in the top right position as our blue Zerg player coming in as the next challenger. We have from Root Gaming, it is Yu-Gi-Oh! I love the zoom. That's too much. You know, as a player, especially at TVT, as a Terran player, it's all, I always love zooming out whenever I'm casting with game art, just so I can see everything that's going on. If I could, I would just be super zoomed out the whole time, and you guys would never see any details. But because I love you, I'll keep it on this human level zoom. Now, on Neoplanet S, there's a good couple of things that you can do. Oh my god, I love this logo. This setup, sorry. Every time I use game art, I have to nerd out a little bit, just because as a caster and an observer, it's probably one of the most awesomest things ever. But, yeah, the Reaper play definitely makes sense as far as Terran versus Zerg goes. This is a very short rush distance, guys. Neoplanet S is one of those maps where your natural isn't that hard to wall off. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually playing this a bit cautiously. He's going to go for the drone scout, wants to know what's up. 15 hatching either way, though. And I do have to say, however, that as far as things go here, this Reaper play, very normal. CC first in this map can be a bit risky just because if you don't get a proper scout off and your opponent goes for some sort of delayed tech all-in off of 2 bases, it can be very hard to deal with because of how short the distance is. So having a Reaper out there, being able to actively scout and note everything that's going on is very, very important for a Terran player on this map. Of course, the third base is a little bit easier to put pressure on since it is slightly out there. On the part of the Zerg player, at least. But it's also really good for Zergs to deny the third base of a Terran. It's much easier than in other maps against a map, say, Daybreak. It's a lot harder on that map to deny if they're... So, Reaper's out. He's going to go straight for a Reactor after that. And it's going to be a single Reaper for QXC. He's not going to do anything terribly aggressive. He wants to play this about as normally as he can. And, yeah. Nothing unusual at all. So, Reaper is going to duck over towards the natural. QXC's like, oh goodness, he expanded. Well, I kind of expected this, and now, just moving it even again. He's like, okay, he's going to start working away at a drone. If you can get one drone, that's nice. You always want to get at least a drone as a Terran player. It's like, well, I mean, I'd like to get a drone. I mean, the Zerg player do everything in their power not to. It almost feels like you're behind if you don't get a drone, just because everyone's so used to getting them. But QXC is going to be continuing to zip, zap, zoop around, and he will get the drone. It will die. And he's immediately going to duck out. So a little bit of a poke, basically, by our Terran player. And behind this, command center, factory. The reactor is, of course, complete. He is rallying a couple Marines out. Not sure he wants to actually get aggressive with these. They're going to run into these Zerglings. QXC got him micro your macro, yo. And he is going to be able to take out these Lings. And at the same time, Yu-Gi-Oh! Now he knows everything. He literally knows everything. There's not a single thing he could possibly not know. And it looks like QXC actually wants to get a third command center as well. The question is he going to build it right under the nose of this Overlord? The Marines are making their way over towards it. This Reaper has been a little bit tenacious, though, doing a bit poke. The gas has been mined for speed, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of stopped after that. So pretty smart play, just wants to get his speed defensively. It will be done pretty soon. Overlord goes down, and QXC, now is the time to find a third command center if you want it, son. He's the kind of player that loves being tricky and unreadable. So him doing something like not building the command center just because there's an Overlord there is very typical of him. And he's actually not even going to go straight for it. He is just going to continue to produce units. He's going to get a bunker, possibly just start his stim pack, and get that third command center really, really late. And there has not been a fast third base from Yu-Gi-Oh! So being 2-base Terran versus 2-base Zerg is actually fine. He just needs to be careful since if that gas mining does resume, which it hasn't, there could be a threat. So drones being produced. He's got a lot of Zerglings, though, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Could try to get on the aggressive side now. He does have this Reaper and these 2 Hellions, 2 back at home. So QXC's got everything that he needs to hold off Zergling aggression. These Marines are going to run over to the bunker as well. Stimpak is on the way. And there's that 3rd command center from our Complexity Terran. This is about as much as we expected from QXC, the Tiger Terran, as he continues to press forward now. Creep tumors being laid down by Yu-Gi-Oh! Wants to have that creep spread, being able to see them Hellions running by. And of course, catching them with the Zerglings. A drone chilling by the creep tumor. And the Reaper, I love the Reaper being added into this. You know, Wings of Liberty was just some Hellion pressure after a CC first. But now with the Reaper being as good as it is, you can just add in a very, very slight amount of DPS. But it attacks fast enough that it actually can make the difference in terms of killing units when you have Hellions. But QXC behind this is going to go double Engineering Bay. Very, very standard. And continue to add on Barracks. So QXC is not doing anything unusual at all. This is the standard Reaper play straight into bio. But on the part of Yu-Gi-Oh! We have a fast +1 range attack. So we could see some serious Roach aggression here, or Hydralisk play in this matchup, or possibly even just Swarm Host play, which to me is interesting because we don't actually have a Roach Horn on the field or even a lair on the way. So we are actually so far removed from Yu-Gi-Oh! Having anything like that. It's not even funny. So this could be designed to be going for the 1-1 timing with Mass Roach, or it could just be some sort of... actually, some weird kinky timing, of course. If you guys are just tuning in, you're watching the RSL G Nations Korea versus America match. Of course, Team America is fighting versus Team Korea. And America is currently down 1-2. QXC just took out the STC. Just trying to fight for a second win to tie things up in this best-of-7 match, of course. We can see the statistics here. Wonderful thing Game Art has is the built-in little bit of overlay. And QXC is going to move out and take his 3rd base. The Roach Warren is finally coming in. It's actually going to line up with, kind of lining up with when the upgrades finish. So I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Wants to just pole vault himself straight into a ton of Roaches once this Roach Warren's done. He is saturated on his 3rd, his natural, and his main base. He actually could use a couple more drones in the natural, but it's not a big deal. He's got 10 drones about to finish. He's going to round out that saturation very nicely. So we could see if he goes for a ton of Roaches. Wouldn't be terribly surprising, but it would also be a very interesting timing because QXC is actually going to get a siege tank out. He is not going to be thwarted by this. He has been paying attention. He knows that there is a possibility of this being a threat. And with 8 Roaches on the way for Yu-Gi-Oh! He should be starting Roach speed as well with that lair completing soon. But the question is, how many Roaches is he going to make? How much damage is he going to be able to do? The fact that QXC has siege tanks almost already shuts this down. The fact that he's got 2 siege tanks pretty much nullifies this build from working. And if he goes for a 3rd tank, which he is, these Roaches shouldn't be able to do much at all with the Stimpak being complete and there already being Marines on the field in bunkers. So Hellions continue to run by trying to deny the creep spread. We actually have a Hydralisk Den coming up for Yu-Gi-Oh! As well. No 2-2 yet for those ranged units. +2 attack is now starting for the Tiger Terran. He will be getting his +2 armor about as soon as he can afford it, I suppose. And there it is. So taking this 3rd base without too much of a hindrance. 1140 mark is not bad at all to be mining. And the Hellions are just being very tenacious. He is not giving up. He is just running in, taking everything that he can get. And of course, the Zerglings trying to catch him. And QXC should be able to see that there's a quite nice swell of Roaches available. So he knows building siege tanks is not a bad play at all. We actually don't see siege tanks really ever anymore in drop hitting the natural expansion. QXC running in, trying to get some drones. He is going to have to lift up and boost on over towards the main base. At the same time, we have some Hellions trying to fight off some Queens, which is, you know, just your standard, everyday, extraordinary things. And, yeah. QXC is just trying to be a really, really big pain in the ass of Yu-Gi-Oh! As it were. And he's going to be driving over to the 3rd base, dropping those Marines. He is getting to work on these drones, beginning to stim and just try to take them out. Combat shield's done, but he should get the Queen and a couple more drones. Pretty nice play here from QXC. He's able to do a little bit of damage. Total workers killed is going to be at 10. Wait, no! What are you doing? Stop! No, the Marines. QXC is going to run in here and get a lot more drone kills pretty much for free. Yu-Gi-Oh! Could not have asked for more than that. I mean, QXC could not have asked for more than that. He's got 14 worker kills now. Very nice. 66 XCVs to 58. He's got tanks. He's got Marines, Marauders. The real question is, Yu-Gi-Oh! With this big Squall of Roach, Hydra, is he going to be able to hold this off? QXC knows that he needs to siege up his tanks. He needs to get in a better position. He's going to run some drops out. He needs to be careful, though. He doesn't have too much at home to defend. 2 of his tanks are unsieged. QXC saw this coming. He needs to be sieged a little bit faster than this. He's going to lose a lot here. His army is so divided, and now he may actually end up being conquered in return. QXC saw the army coming, moving his army away like that. I don't know. His tanks being unsieged really, really hurt him. He's going to drop the natural, but reinforcing units can deal with this. The drop heading towards the third base can be dealt with reinforcements as well. And now Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just going to get right on top of QXC's production. I think QXC is just going to get smashed here. This is pretty much going to be it. His army was split up way too much to be able to handle this force. When you're fighting Roach Hydra, you need everything in one concentrated clump. You need all of your tanks sieged before the fight. Half of QXC's tanks were unsieged before that fight even started. And that's a really big hindrance, I think, to our Terran players. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Just kind of bowling over QXC. Ouch. GG.